Hey guys, I'm your girl Deandra Chanel of the DC Power Hour, and I am here with an amazing talent. We have Lulu of Thanks Management to continue our Boss Babe month. Hi Lulu, how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank
So
you for
excited.
coming. So let us start with talking about who Lulu is, because Lulu has an interesting story.
Lulu's got a lot of stories. Where do I begin? I am a world of everything. I'm one of those that I'm known for having an opinion for everything, knowing about everything, and I don't even know what else to say about myself.
Well, you started off like a bit of a firecracker, a little unique, we'll say.
Definitely, I'll agree with that.
So let's talk about your love for cars.
My love for cars has always been with me. I am currently working on a 1936 Chevy Master Deluxe.
Okay.
We're going to say she's about 85% done, give or take.
Okay.
So we should be seeing her coming up in 2025, complete and on the road, and I'll be excited to be driving her out and about.
Okay.
But my love for cars has always been there. I know some of those questions that come up, and I start to think like, when did it start? And it really started a long time ago. So somehow I've always been around cars. Whether, like I was telling you as a little girl, um, one of the things I wanted to do as a kid was I wanted to be a race car driver.
And Formula One at that.
A Formula One race car driver. I wanted to race for Ferrari. That was my thing. I think because my whole family was into racing. Um, and so I remember as a little girl telling myself, and mind you, I've never had limits.
Yeah.
I didn't have limits. Nobody ever said, you're a girl, you're supposed to do this and this and that. It was always encouraging for me to do what I wanted,
Yeah.
which is probably why I am who I am today. Um, but the biggest takeaway I took as a little kid, and mind you, I was 6 or 7, and seeing that there were just no women racing,
Yeah.
nobody in anywhere, and I'm like, well, I guess it's something not for women. I remember telling myself that.
So do you feel like you set yourself back a little bit?
I did that to myself because
Yeah.
no one ever told me you can't do it. Um, it was just me who had that conversation with myself and said, it's not for women. So hopefully one day when I'm older, I get to see women. But as of right now, there's no women. So I told myself I can't be a race car driver, even though
See,
I
the
wanted
thing
to.
with that is like representation is very important.
It is.
Because had you seen something growing up where there was a woman out there that was behind the wheel, maybe it would have encouraged you to take a whole other career path.
It definitely, I think so, because I would have probably been pushed it a little bit more. It didn't take away my love for cars,
Yeah.
the enthusiasm I would see. I've always had my family was always more into sports car, European cars. I grew up in Argentina, so that was my first wind of seeing it.
Oh,
And
you're
my
from Buenos
uncle
Aires,
had a
correct?
Corvette. Like everybody just had all these, fast cars. So in Argentina, you still see a lot of old cars. So you'd see my dad had the old trucks, the old factory vehicles, and I was always drawn to them. My dad always had the old Ford trucks, the big pickup trucks. That's
Yeah.
what he used for work. And the smell of gasoline is the greatest smell.
Really?
That old burn when you crank it and you just
Yeah.
smell it. I love that smell. It's my that was as I was a little girl. I loved it. So as I got older, I come to realize, where I've never left the love for cars. So when I came to this country, it was a whole different atmosphere. I didn't know too much about the lowrider scene. I came in contact with, people from school and what they were into and the cars that, the guys in school drove or who would cruise by the school because that was a big thing back then is people who would cruise by the school.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
First period.
Who's gonna drive? Who's gonna pull up first? Yeah, I know. And then
When you're purposely outside, you show up late because you know they're going to be passing by in the car.
yeah, you walk slow.
They
just
keep
to
you
get
outside.
in. Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah. Oh,
So
man.
it was fascinating just to have to be in that world and being exposed to it. And that's
Yeah.
what brought my love of having to see what's out on the street. And now, just still being around it, it
Yeah.
just takes you back a bit of like, I remember when, so and so cruising by or getting picked up from school or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always that. So, mhm.
So when it comes to the car world, at that time, obviously there weren't any females really lowriding like that. Like they weren't out
No.
there like as drivers. It was more like, as we stated earlier, like the passenger princess kind of
Passenger
thing where,
princess role, yes.
yeah, like they were like the queen to the man who was running the show
Right,
behind the wheel.
right.
So when you started, that wasn't a thing. So now, with obviously the dreams that you had as a child, how does it make you feel to see that the lowrider scene is pretty much like 50-50 at this point?
It's amazing because, like we were saying earlier about the girl, there was a girl who not too long ago was part of the Formula One winning circle.
Yeah.
And to see her being a winner, I was so proud, and it brought me back to that moment of
Yeah.
remembering. And it just made me think of every girl now, so many things that we've seen, so many women owning their car. I grew up in a generation, like you said, the majority of females were or passenger princess. And the evolution of having to be accepted as their own driver, it was rough. You would hear about the stories, or just needing the assistance, or how easy it is because, oh, you're a girl, you could be gullible and you need help from a man, whatever
Yeah.
the situation was. So to see women now having to move away from the passenger princess role, being car owners themselves, and then seeing how it's influencing the new generation, where you're having girls that are straight out of high school buying their own classic cars.
Yes.
No help from anybody, buying their own, paying money so that they can build their own cars.
And
That's
not even
amazing.
just the cars, the bikes are a big
Oh,
thing too.
bikes too, yeah.
Because I know a few girls that that were straight out of high school that started building their own like bicycles,
Yep.
the lowrider bicycles, and then I'm sure at some point they're going to transition into the lowrider
Oh
scene.
yeah. That as a matter of fact, before I got into my old car, my 36, I collected bicycles. I have I can tell you anything about Schwinn's, original Schwinn bicycles.
Yeah.
I can tell you from 1950s to 1964 where you can find the serial numbers, what bars if you have a Frankenstein, because the idea of a bicycle is you're only going to be original once and you can redo it 1,000 times.
Right.
Right. So when you have that originality one time, I think that's just what I'm drawn to, which tells you how much I like the classic and sticking to the original, which is why I have an old 36. Yeah, there are some things that are going to be redone because you're not going to have the original, which would be like 6 volt to 12 volt. If I want to be able to have a 12 volt battery and have more power on it, yes, I have to change the battery. So those little tweaks that you have to make just to make it more comfortable, but to be fully original, I mean, I give props to anybody who wants to stick that original. So, yeah. But I remember I have my bike collection. So before I evolved to the cars and spending more money, it was spending money on Schwinn's. So,
I mean, it's a nice vice to have
yeah.
because
Yeah.
obviously it's an investment.
It is an
and,
investment.
and that resale value when
Oh,
when
yeah.
you go and you sell it, like it brings up the value
Yes.
of the actual bike or the actual car.
Or parts,
Yeah.
because you start to store them and you think to yourself, oh, you know what, I really like this one piece and I know that it's valuable. Next thing you know, you bought like 6 of them in your collection.
Yeah.
And then later on in life, because I do see now that there's the gentlemen who have collected for years who out there reselling some of the stuff that are extra because they have one
So
too
many.
many pieces. So they get to share the love and give, rehome some of those pieces.
So let's change course a little bit.
All
I
right.
want to talk about you at some point wanted to be a fashion designer,
I
right?
did.
So in this world that you actually made a career out of, because you're doing public relations and management
Yes.
for majority the lowrider scene, correct?
Well, not majority, just some of the girls that I've, made great friendships through, through the scene. When you're out in a lot of these car shows, and it's really evolved from back when I was young to now, 'cause it's a lot more family oriented. You have families, who bring out their kids, who brings out, all other members of their family. And to see women just in general who are car owners, and sometimes they haven't met other girls, and don't know how, not so much how to be exposed, but just the exposure of just being around other women. That's kind of like the little network I kind of built. So it gave me the opportunity where if something comes up and I hear about it, I'll offer it. So that's kind of how it started.
with your PR career.
With the way of just like, hey, management, because it's kind of like, I would call it the love connection.
Yeah.
So I can connect people, and it's nice because it's giving the recognition and just kind of saying, this is a good fit for you, let me help you out. So it's kind of like a recruiter where I started, and then from there it just kind of started to work with certain people that I just did it more of a regular basis. And just recently I started to make it more official. So, yeah.
So let's talk about Thanks Management a little bit.
Okay.
So you have this thing where you're hooking up all these different girls. Because you and I met when you did the Homegirls United
Homegirl Unity cruise.
The Homegirl Unity cruise.
Right.
And it was a huge turnout.
Yes, it was a really nice turnout for being the first time that the girls
cars.
decided to do this event. And it was kind of influenced from different people to say, hey, why don't you guys finally do something? And what I did is I took some of those girls and I said, okay, what do you want to do? I'm going to help out. And then I helped out.
Yeah,
So
I mean, honestly,
that's really where it was. And everybody did their part. And then I think when you do things with love, it's going to show more, right? Because if you do it, and you have to have the right intention for anything you do in life.
Yes.
Anytime you do something with a passion and with love, it's not a job. It's not an obligation. It's coming from your heart. So you want to make it, and you want to nurture it and make it thrive. And so I feel like that's when I dove into doing that. I wanted it to be successful, so that, because the idea was to be a communal event, so to bring women together and find themselves like, hey, you know what, there's a whole bunch of us, and we have all different walks of life, and bicycles and motorcycles, and cars, and different niche of different types of cars, because the lowrider scene is built on different types. So there's lowriders, there's classics, there's bombs, there's original, there's different categories that it falls under. There's the G bodies, there's all that just to unite everybody was a nice thing to have to, bring together. So that's where the intention was. So I think that we all did our part to nurture it the way we did, and it came out with success. So
do you ever sit back? I mean, let's go back to that event in itself. Was that one of your first?
That was one of the ones that we did together, yes.
Okay. So put yourself in a position just to kind of take it in a little bit, right? So you have this show where it's a bunch of female lowriders, first of all, which is dope in itself. Then you have performers like Norman Carter. You have people like Spiderhead that come out and support these things, right? This was unheard of 20, 25 years ago.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no. You had up a stage, and it was very different.
Plus your vendors, and then plus what I happened to see, because I happened to do a photo shoot there that day. I'm looking at 16, 17, 18-year-old girls putting their bikes in the show. Things like that. How what does that do for you to know that you are, in a way, a pioneer to a whole new culture?
And going back to that whole seeing the new generation doing what we didn't do. We were, like I said, the passenger princess role was almost defined to women. That was most of the times. So to see it being so young, and it's great because it does come from a generation of myself who has these young kids, and they're encouraging their girls to do what they want. And if you want to build a bike, build your own bike. They're encouraging that. So to see it play out, it's beautiful, because that's the intent, to give the women who once upon a time thought it was just, your role was just to be a passenger princess. Now you can just have your own vehicle, and to be an inspiration to see other women in doing it. Because I know it did, that day we did have a lot of other people who or not part of the car scene. So it brought the attraction of other people, and just to have people just come up and say, wow, that's really cool. Like, all you guys own cars,
Yeah.
and they're really nice cars,
Yeah. Beautiful.
So it's really nice when you hear it. And even just when you see people's expressions, like they get surprised and or like excited. I think the excitement that you see in people's faces are what makes all the trouble you go through when you put an event like that.
Yeah.
It might be small, it might be whatever, but when you go through making an event, it's comes with so many ups and downs, and you just at the end of the day, the success of the event is having to see people smile and enjoy each other. So,
What is your take on image in lowriding? Because when Lowrider magazine first started, like one of their first covers was a female that was in a jumpsuit, very masculine, beautiful hair, but very masculine now. Now, fast forward 2024, and the drivers of these cars are very feminine, gorgeous, fashion forward. Like, it's a thing. You know what I mean?
Own it.
Where it's like, we're
You
going to
gotta
get
own
our blouses, our tops. It's going to be of this color. It's going to be bling. There's going to be, these dope jackets to show that we're here.
right.
Like, what does that do for you, considering back in the day, let's go back to the Formula
Yeah.
One girl
Right.
and her dreams, to see that the image has changed in the writing as well.
Yeah, no, it has, because again, it used to, now that's another position. It's you can be the model.
Yeah.
As a female. So to see today that you have, like you said, beautiful women driving their cars who have their own sense of style that represent, because the vehicle itself is a character of you. It's an extension of your character, because you build it, and you even if you didn't fully build it, you at least added the character to it, those accessories, those things, those details that are part of you that help you define who you are. Because it's one thing if you just buy a car and you drive it. You start to feel like, I need to personalize it, whether what tires you put, what rims you put, what defines you to make you feel more comfortable in driving that car that shows who you are. Now you're seeing women who are now not just, I used to call myself the accessory to the car. Now women are the driver and the accessory, because
Right.
it's so beautiful to see like a badass chick just get off the car and be like, oh yeah, she's the owner. That's dope. Like, it's so
Yes.
beautiful. Yeah. I
And
love
have
it.
you noticed that now there's less and less of the accessory?
I know. Yeah. That's a bunch of guys. Woo.
The one thing that I am waiting to see is for the men to start to become the accessory.
I know.
I mean,
it's happening.
It's gonna get there. It's gonna get there.
It's gonna get there.
But in this world, the men are extremely masculine.
Yes.
So, I mean, what are the odds that in the next 10 to 20 years, this will be a thing? I highly doubt it.
I doubt
but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, because it's funny, because you see a lot of those memes, and they make fun of like, oh, the girlfriend or the wife is, yelling at the husband because, oh, you picked the car over me, and then he supposedly leaves her, because it's now becoming like, well, that could be both ways. Like,
Yeah.
that could be her, you or the car type of thing.
I mean,
it's
and
no
the other
longer
thing,
just
too-
one role where you used to be
Yes.
the wife. Yeah.
One thing too, and now because there's so many more women building cars, it can also be a collaborative effort
Definitely.
as a couple.
It's
You know
it's
what I
one of
mean?
those things that you both team up, and it's like, I think that's even more beautiful, because that
Yes.
means you both have the same passion, and you enjoy what you do together, and you build together, and you share ideas together. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, honestly. Well, you come from a family of people in the fashion industry.
Yes, I do.
So how much of an inspiration, or how much of a role did watching your family be in this industry, in the fashion realm, does that help you in your career?
Well, I think fashion itself, you are an occasion. Let's just start there. It could be a day that you don't feel good and you just want to just put a nice outfit on. It's always better to overdress and underdress. That's what I
Agree.
always say.
100%.
Because if I show up just for a cup of coffee and I'm overdressed, somebody can assume, oh, you must be in a hurry. Oh, you look really nice. And it builds up your esteem of like, you know what? I feel better.
Yeah.
Because that means I must look presentable, right?
Hmm.
And don't, I mean, I'm one of those, I'm like not in between. I'm either really put together or like I look
Not put
like
together at
I
all.
live under the freeway. It's
Yeah.
one or the other. It's not, it's the art, right? Because the
Yes.
effort you put in putting yourself together all the time, all of a sudden you're like, no, not today.
Yeah.
And that could be the occasion too, right? But in my family, I think that the influence has always been, my dad's always been put together. My dad's Italian, so
Hmm.
he immigrated Italy to Argentina. So Argentina, then we came here. But the reason why my uncle came here, and so the reason why I bring up my uncle too, is because he's the one that first came here to become a tailor. So he had a shop on Rodeo Drive.
Hmm. What a
And
dream.
I know. And
Yeah.
this was a time where the big houses like Roberto Cavalli, Salvatore Ferragamo,
Hmm.
Hugo Boss did not have in-house tailors. It was kind of like, go to the guy over there.
Hmm.
And it was three little Italian guys who had a shop and they had all the clients come in. So it was like Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, Ronald Reagan during his presidency was one of their clients. Rocky Balboa, Mr. Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
So all these were regulars that they would see when they would come in.
Yeah.
So from that, my dad always knew like it's always the material, even for men, because you look just a plain suit. And it's not just the suit, it's the fabric. It's what fabric you wear during the summer. It's all those details that people just don't really
Yeah.
know
That's
that are
very
so
important.
important that make a difference.
Yeah.
And learning that so young, I think that has influenced a lot as I got older. In Italy and in Argentina, because I did live in both, fashion is really big. Like
Yeah.
you don't walk around in jeans. You do not walk around in sweats. That just does not happen.
Yeah. Europe is a
Tennis
whole nother
shoes.
breed.
I was like, oh, what's going on?
Right.
So when I came to this country, all of a sudden everyone's a little bit more dressed down. You know, it's a little bit more. Even my dad was like, everybody dresses down here. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to join the party. I don't have to wear a nice sport coat. And but that part of just dressing up all the time just stuck with me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's influenced everything at the end of the day. Because
Yeah.
even when I go to car shows, as a passenger princess, when I would go all the time, like I said, I was the accessory. So
Yeah.
as an accessory, you got to be put together.
Right. At all times. Very
And
true.
and most of the times I see women are in the plain jeans and the black t-shirt. And
Or the car
I'm
club
like,
t-shirt
yeah, that's
or
like the
something like
uniform
that.
for the ladies. And I'm like, why do we have to dress like that?
Yes.
I want to dress a whole different outfit. Let's
Yes.
put on a new outfit too. Like just stand out and be different.
Yes.
Wow. So I incorporated the two of them, and here I am.
So being in management, I know it doesn't seem like a big deal to most, but us as fashion girls, we understand that presentation means a lot.
Yes.
Right? So when you are managing a client and you're trying to reach out to a specific company or brand or whoever it is that you're going to be working with, and they see this, right? I'm like, excuse me, come over here because you are about to change my whole life, because we understand it.
Right.
Right? But if we're working in a male dominated field and they see Lulu dressed this way, right?
Mhm.
She's glamorous. She's a boss in my head and any other female's head, right?
Right.
But with these men, it's like,
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to go back to that childhood mentality that I was raised with. I think that a lot is body language, looking at someone in the eyes, stern handshake. How you present yourself is not just your clothes,
Correct.
right? It is the character, because you could be a crappy person with no honor, no integrity, no, it shows, and those things that are valuable, I've never had myself feel inferior to a man
absolutely.
just because they're a man. Like,
Yeah.
like, and vice versa. Instead of saying, "Oh, I'm losing out," no, you know what? It's your loss, and we'll come back to that.
Absolutely.
And I will. And it's never been because somebody's better or not. It's just we all come with different talents and different things. So if there's a situation where I've ran into very few who chose to not look at me in the face
Oh,
and
of
look
course.
at the other
There's
way.
always a couple.
And I said, that's the type of person I don't want to work with.
Absolutely.
Why do I want to work with you? No,
Absolutely.
you're not in my, uh, you're not, you're not on my level,
You know what's
basically.
funny is in the lowrider world, it's the Hollywood scene, but not the Hollywood scene because it's becoming more and more of a thing where we'll call it, I guess, the urban market is becoming
It's
trendy,
mainstreaming,
right?
right? Yeah.
So the idea that in a sense women still have to go through the casting couch even as management,
Yeah.
even as things that are people that are behind the scenes that are trying to make a name for themselves in the mainstream. Do you think, have you had an issue where you felt like that, like very much object, or they're trying to objectify you with you trying to do business?
I have, and it's not so much in, I think that's just, you got to look at a character. And I think my biggest part is, and I'm going to go back further before management. As I was building my car, the different characters I chose to reach out because it's a hub, it's a community. It's a hub of people who are either willing to help you or not. If somebody's not willing to help you, it's probably either A, they feel like they something along their line that just didn't work out. But I feel like when somebody comes and asks you for help, right, and they're not willing to help, it shows them having their own issues. They're lacking their own confidence because I'm a person who's coming asking you for help. I would feel honored to be like, oh great, thanks for asking me. How can I help you? Let me kind of guide you. Just guide me. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not telling you to hold my hand, but if you can't help me,
Right.
just by telling me, hey, where did you go for this? And then this is just as an example. That's where you start to see the means of, um, you know, their character. Now,
Yeah.
again, the male to female, because again, my mentality goes into not dividing the two.
Right.
There's been those few instances that I have had the feeling of, oh, you don't like me because I'm a female. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, but no thanks. Even if you offered, because I did reach out to somebody and I wrote this whole, hey, I love your car. Can you help me? I just wanted a reference. I don't know, was asked a basic question about the suspension and something, and I just wanted some assistance because it's a car. It's a 36. Like,
Right.
a lot of it is word of mouth.
Right.
So, so here I write this lengthy message about how great your car looks, da 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 da, and instead of writing, "Hey, thanks," or like simple, like "I'll get back to you," he just liked my message and like left it there.
Never again.
Like never again. I was like, you know what? Thanks.
Do you think it might have been a thing where he just forgot to get back to it? Maybe.
No, because I reached out again and thinking, because I
Ah.
will give you opportunities.
Yeah, of
I
course.
really don't like to think bad of people. Maybe they just were busy.
Right.
And I do that too. So I thought maybe if I reached out one more time and again, he
He'll
just
see
left
it.
me on scene. I was like,
Oh.
okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
And then later on, I come to find out this individual just thinks really highly of himself and kind of there's some people that call themselves self-proclaimed experts.
Oh, in this scene.
Self-proclaimed historians, excuse me.
Not
Yeah,
the
you get a
historians,
lot
girl.
of those. And those are the ones you got to watch out for because those are
Right.
the ones that, oh, you're coming to me. And they get very, no.
You just don't understand we're in the human experience. We were all born the same.
Right.
From the same vagina, from the same all this. Yet, however, once we reach a point in our lives where we feel like we are the shit per se,
Right.
or we are an expert in something, it just changes
It's so sad.
a
It
person's
does.
personality.
But this is the thing, though. Like, I'm one of those people that a lot of people come to because I am told like I'm a very smart person. And I
Yes.
say that I'm told because I know I'm intelligent and smart and I can talk to you about anything.
Yeah.
But I don't know everything. And there's a lot I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do retain a lot of information and I know things. So I like to share it. You come ask
Yeah.
me a question, I'll be like, hey, let me help you out.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. Then you have those individuals who, I get it, they've probably been through a situation where they're kind of like, why are you coming to me for?
Yeah.
But that's a little different. But when you're there thinking that you're up here
Yeah.
and we're all here, like we're all here to help each other.
Yeah.
So then I've met some great people along the process of building my car who are mostly men and have offered a wealth of knowledge and have been great mentors through the process.
Right.
So, you do run into those, but the few that I've seen are the ones like that. I know that the whole female thing, they can't look at you in the eye. They kind of look at you, and you could tell kind of how they perceive you based on, like, you can have a
The body language,
very
how they're looking.
intelligent response in how you approach somebody, but they turn it around about, oh, something basic about being a female, and it's like, you're one of those. So I one time I had the opportunity to flip that and say, well, it sounds like you need somebody at your own, like a younger age level, because a more mature woman is not for you
Yeah.
to relate to. So I've always been one of those people that I don't undervalue myself.
Right.
I know what I have to offer, and I'm not saying I have everything. I don't have the answers to everything, but I don't think that anyone should undervalue themselves because somebody else's character wants to devalue you. In fact, they're the ones that are devaluing their own character by having to discriminate if I was a female.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Yeah.
you can lose out on some of the best opportunities.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
because of the bias of it all.
Uh-huh.
Because regardless of what people may think, females will make something out of nothing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And the idea that I've seen people's careers catapult because of some women
Yeah.
is
I could imagine.
incredible. And a lot of there's men out there that will definitely lose out on many opportunities and they stay stuck.
Well,
in the
I feel like
same realm.
women, we know because we know how women work.
Yeah.
But the interesting part is men are not far behind.
No.
There's a lot of drama queens, as I like to call them. Let's keep it real.
I mean, yes.
Because they have taken on that persona of the same thing that they criticize. So
Yeah.
I find that the ones that are more critical of women are the ones that are more like women.
Yeah, there's probably an insecurity factor there.
There's a huge
toxic
insecurity,
masculinity,
yeah.
blah blah blah. I mean, do we care? No, we don't.
No.
We're here to do our job and we're here to go home.
No, exactly.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. But okay, so as far as management and PR goes, if there is a person in general that is looking to start in this field, what is your best advice to them?
I would say take that risk. If you have creative ideas, embrace them. Even no matter how many people knock you over, just embrace it. If you believe in something, be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And then be honest. Be an honest person, which is what builds your character, because at the end of the day, that honesty is the greatest accessory you could have in whatever outfit you wear. So you can be tailored down to the nines.
Yes.
But if that character is missing the honesty, the integrity, all those qualifications
The
that build
skill.
a person, the skill.
Yes.
Yeah, don't be trying to act like I'm a plumber and you're dealing with straws or something. Like
Yeah.
So all that is important. So build your reputation is the greatest accessory. That's what I would say, because how you build your all those things build your reputation, and it's not how you see yourself, it's how others see you.
Yes.
That's important, because you can talk about yourself all day, but I don't have to sell myself if other people know who I am. So I think the greatest thing is to build that great reputation, start, make a good no matter how hard things may get or what things may do, stick true to being you and being the best you can. Because that's where it gets challenging. You'll have some sharks out there who will take advantage of your kindness or take advantage. And as long as you stick to being that good person, that reputation will never go away. It stays with you. And that is the best accessory you could have to move forward in any career, especially in management, something like this. Because,
Yes.
like I said, lots of sharks. Yeah.
So if I or anybody else would like to book Lulu for possible PR or management, where can we go to find her?
I'm on Instagram, and you can message me through. I do check my messages. Pretty Little Lulu, 1936.
Thank you so much for coming on. You're a true inspiration and the definition of what a boss babe is.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was so fun.
Thank you for coming on. That concludes our episode of the DC Power Hour Boss Babe Month with the beautiful and talented Miss Lulu. And until next time.